And we are live. Hey, everybody. What's going on? All right, hang on. Let me check something out real quick. You son of okay. YouTube's acting a little screwy for us, but basically, we are going live on a Saturday night, August 15th, because we do, in fact, have. We've got breaking news on the Forrest Fenn lawsuit.
We do.
Let's give a little bit of time for people to get in here since this was not planned. It was not scheduled. We were all chilling on a Saturday night. And little did
Well, it was a little planned because this came out this morning. We've been dealing with family stuff. Everybody's been asking me, everybody, you have to go live. You said breaking news, and yes, we will. But so we had to delay a couple hours. We did want to work around Toby and his Saturday search and talk, and so yeah, we're here now. We're here now because there is breaking news in the community. We're here for you. We are here for you and you and you and you.
you. All right.
Are you posting it everywhere, Michael? Michael. Oh, and
I'm getting up there right now.
send it to the big guy just
Oh,
in case he might be busy. I don't know. I don't know what he's up to, but he should have it.
probably reading it right now. I see a Poker Stars game has just been scheduled. Interesting.
Yeah, I missed it. The last one, it was 17 minutes in, and late registration was only 15 minutes. Come on.
So you just missed it. Is that what you said?
Mhm.
Guess what I got approved for today? A little website called WSOP.com. You have to upload a bunch of documents. So we got
You
that
have to
going.
give up your firstborn child, your blood type, your
Yeah, they want all your info. If you win some money, there, Uncle Sam is getting his cut. But I know the World Series of Poker is over, but I just want to check it out. They have a little $5 and $10 tournament. Somebody may
Yeah.
have seen on Facebook, may have seen the Big Buffalo win over the weekend. So I got a couple extra dollars. It don't mean nothing to me. So I'll try. Okay. Sorry. A little sidetrack there.
money that don't mean nothing to you.
Yeah,
Hey,
well,
anytime you have those dollars that don't mean nothing to you, pass them my way, baby doll.
there's a lot of dollars that we've put into the Grand Adventure, which is going to be
Oh,
Saturday, 1 week from today. But we're not here
okay.
to talk about the Grand Adventure. We're here to
We're
talk
not
about.
talking about the Grand Adventure, but I do want to say one thing before we jump into Forrest Fenn breaking news update. Guess who won the first drawing with the 1957 coins and
We can
all
now
that?
say who won, right?
Yeah, it was Candy. And you know what Candy said? Put it right back in the prize pool for your group. Put it
Wow.
in. Put it in for the hunt.
Big thank you to Candy. Somebody else now has a chance, especially the people that have bought in since the drawing this morning. We've had like 4 people. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah, they were like, I didn't know. Oh my gosh, how do I buy in? What will the next thing be? The next thing's going to be this again because Candy is all kinds of awesome.
And I haven't double checked it to verify yet, but I believe the very first person that bought in just your hunt, they went ahead and bought into my hunt too today after the drawing. So maybe they realized
Did you
3
hit the
entries is better
wonk,
than one.
wonk, wonk?
So yeah, that's fun. All right, let me get this out here to the peoples of the world that are
The
still
people.
interested in the Forrest Fenn hunt.
Okay, do you want me to tee this up as you're doing that, Mike?
Tee it up, honey. Tee it up.
Okay, so right now we have 2 pending lawsuits in the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt. For those of you that don't know, the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt was a treasure hunt around 10 years 20 years in the making. I don't know how many years in the making, but it was discovered, I don't know, a couple months ago. And within one day of it being announced to be found, there was a lawsuit by someone out of Chicago. I call it the Chicago lawsuit. There was also another lawsuit that I call the Arizona lawsuit. The reason I call it that is the person was from Arizona. So when I say Chicago lawsuit and Arizona lawsuit, that's what I mean. There was another lawsuit. It was dismissed. We won't even talk about those. So the Arizona lawsuit asked for an extension of time. This was maybe a week or 2 ago, and they were granted that. So he's putting his ducks in a row, and he is putting that out, or his lawsuit is still in play. But the update that we have is on the Chicago lawsuit. So the Chicago lawsuit, it is out of New Mexico, but the person's from Chicago. She is stating that she was stalked and harassed by the finder. She had a bunch of text messages that said right after she found it, or right after they found it, they said, haha, I found it in your spot.
Aha.
Yeah, and she did a bunch of amendments. She kind of sifts through the social media, said there were some other people that, she wanted she wanted the lawsuit closed for others, et cetera, et cetera, which we won't even get into because there's one piece that is particularly, so the judge responded, it looks like day before yesterday. And so the judge responded to her request for more information or an extension of time. And she originally, and I'm not a lawyer, nor do I play one on TV, but I can read. So I'm just reading through this stuff, and this is how I interpret it. I might be not exactly right. Um, she initially had two plaintiffs. No, she was a plaintiff. Two defendants. The two defendants were one, the finder, and two, Forrest Fenn. She put a motion in then to amend that and to take Forrest Fenn off because he didn't do anything wrong, but he has the information she needs, which is who the finder is to be able to sue him, and she needs his identity. So with that, she asked for an amendment to take Forrest off as someone she's suing, and rather make him a subpoenaable witness that must hand over the information of the finder.
Subpoenable. Subpoenable. Yeah. However.
Yes.
Okay.
So the judge responded to that. So can you bring up the court document? This is all public documents.
Bring it up on Thor, or just bring up the document itself?
All we need is the document. You can bring it up on Thor, which is hintofriches.com, where you get all the breaking news information on all treasure hunts in the amusement park that we cover.
Give me a second. If anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, if anybody's like, what lawsuit, what update, I'm going to post in the chat the link to where you can read this. Oh, yeah, I guess it would.
Thumbs up, please. Super chat is on. If you want to make a comment, put at Kpro or at Cowlazars, so we'll be able to see it. There you go.
So I downloaded this document, and you can download it too off of the Hint of Riches, which is the link, hintofriches.com. Oh, where did I put it? Give me 1 second.
So it seems now this is now in what we call discovery phase, but I don't know that. I have two lawyer friends, and I haven't been able to get a hold of either of them. So we'll have more information later. But okay, make that nice and big, Michael.
Okay, what are we going to the bottom?
We're going to the final paragraph. Keep going down.
I have an issue.
Make it much bigger.
Final paragraph all the way down here. Okay. Yep. Just ordered that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So go down. So it is ordered that, and this is what so let's go to number 3. That is the paragraph we're going to be looking at. We can get it all in. Okay, so the plaintiff's motion for leave to file a Rule 27 and 45 petition against Forrest Fenn and the motion of extension of time to the complaint is granted in part. So she asked for an extension of time, and I don't know what the Rule 25 and all of that means. Good questions, guys. I will hold on a second. Plaintiff may serve a Rule 45 subpoena. So the person suing the finder may serve a subpoena on Forrest Fenn that seeks and is limited to information sufficient to identify the unknown defendant, which is the finder, including that person's name, address, telephone, and email address. Plaintiff shall send a copy of the subpoena and this order to Forrest Fenn's counsel when she serves the subpoena. Plaintiff shall file an amended complaint within 21 days of entry of this order. Failure to timely file an amended complaint may result in dismissal. The court denies that. That's another piece to it. She wanted a Zoom conference. So from what I understand, this is saying all other things aside, all the other crap you've put in here, we grant you permission to serve this subpoena by court order by New Mexico State Court to serve Forrest through his attorney. He has an attorney of record, so Forrest doesn't have to have this subpoena served personally to him. He will have it served to his counsel. And his counsel will get it, and it will act as a way for Forrest to be, per the court order, mandated to hand over the identity of the finder, such as address, telephone number, name, etc. All the stuff that was
JT
handed in.
Indy says she dropped us from the lawsuit. Does that mean you and her?
We were never really named in the lawsuit. We were named by social media is putting me to be a villain, and she named some people. She actually named quite a few, and she said, "Judge, can you put this under kind of a I don't know what it's called. Like, we're not everything's public, so we can do this privately." And I don't understand this enough to know whether it was yes or no, but she didn't name us as a defendant, or a plaintiff. We weren't parties to it. She was just saying, it's kind of like if you're saying ABC and NBC is talking bad about me, can we put this under seal? That's what she was doing. So I don't think, yeah, yeah.
Covert One says, "What if the finder never gave his name or address to Forrest? Then wouldn't
Well,
Forrest have to just supply the email address or whatever contact info he has for that person?"
well, let's go to step one, which is pretty interesting, that Forrest has already put out that the finder was in a completely different search state. And so step one is, wow, the judge
Search.
saw this meritable enough to have her file a subpoena. That
Well,
means it's just not getting thrown out, right? So that's step one. Just,
Well,
I find that remarkable.
let's go back even before that. Let's just go over the basics of the lawsuit. This person is not suing Forrest Fenn, correct? This person
Initially she has changed it, but yes.
Okay. This person is now trying to sue the person who supposedly hacked her email. I mean, is that what the lawsuit's about?
She believes that the finder and the person that is stalking and hacking and coming after her are one and the same person. So she needs Forrest to tell her who the finder was, so she knows who to sue as her stalker.
Gotcha. So she wants, and if it was ever determined, I guess, that the hacker and the person who actually found the treasure chest were two different people, I don't know how you determine that, but if it was determined, she would not be going after the finder of the treasure chest. She's really trying to get to whoever she thinks hacked her solution from her email. Her solution.
Right, but if he doesn't have the treasure chest, does anyone care? Like, if you hacked my email and you got my crappy solve, does anybody care? She only cares if it is the finder.
Oh, well, I just thought it was a crime to hack somebody's email. I thought this was like a criminal suit, that she's trying to go after somebody that's either harassing her or text messages or hacking or whatever. But she's trying to say, because I know my solution was right, the person who hacked my solution, quotation fingers, found the treasure chest because they hacked my solution. So I think I should own the treasure chest. And again, I don't know. I'm putting the question out there. I don't know if that's
how I'm understanding it at this
And
point.
again, we're not lawyers, everybody. This is just our opinion. But again, we go live when news pertains to the Forrest Fenn treasure found, and this definitely does. You know, I'm wearing the "Which Searcher Are You?" And Forrest says he thought of everything, but did he think of Lawsuit Larry? Maybe we could add it right here. Lawsuit Larry.
I think he thought of lawsuits. I mean, I don't know on this one if he realized that somebody, well, so now let's take the next step. If Forrest knows who it is. So he told us he wouldn't give up the identity in a million years. Now, he didn't say whether I'm being sued or not. Let's say, so let's almost use this as a little fishbone chart. If he knew who it was, and do you think he'll reveal it?
I think he has to legally.
Oh, he has to legally. What if he doesn't?
Not publicly, but to the judge. In other words, well, let me ask you this. If he does in fact get subpoenaed, it's on Barbara Anderson and her lawyer to actually send it to Forrest Fenn.
I think she's representing herself, but I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, whoever the lawyer is, whether it's herself or somebody else, it's on them, and they have 21 days to subpoena Forrest Fenn's lawyer to compel him to give this information. Is that correct?
No, I believe she has 21 days to amend her suit. I don't think the 21 days falls under the subpoena being and him complying and all of that. She still has to respond to the initial warning that the judge gave that you need to give more substantial claims. I don't know how those two timelines tie.
Okay, well, I guess what I was getting at, and I got you. What was I getting at? What I was getting at is Forrest, legally, if he is subpoenaed, if he does in fact get a subpoena to give the information that he has about the finder, he legally has to do so, correct?
Well, legally, he should do so. What if he doesn't? We have plenty of precedent in the courts that say you have a news reporter that has a court say, what is the or else if he doesn't? He'll be held in contempt. What happens if you're held in contempt of court? You can go to jail, and I believe you can be fined. Those are the two things that you, because it's either criminal or civil.
Oh. Big super chat from Mr. 3D Bronze. F will never tell. I'll never tell. She's going to get him arrested for contempt of court. F shouldn't have to spend his last moments on Earth dealing with this BS. Well, let's hope it's not his last moments, but I understand the sentiment. I mean, could Forrest give a justification to the judge and say, look, I designed this from the beginning that if the finder didn't wanted to remain anonymous, I'm going to keep him anonymous. So therefore, I'm not betraying the trust that this contract or this pact that I made with the finder of the treasure chest. I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to tell you who it is.
Well, yeah, I'm going to go down a logic path in my mind. So the first scenario is, yes, he knows, and he refuses to give it. No matter what he says to the judge just says, absolutely not. You have to do it or else. From what I understand, once you're above a certain age, and it depends on the state, it's sometimes 60, it's sometimes 70, it's sometimes 80, but in all cases, it is definitely 90 passes that amount, that if you are, you cannot be thrown in jail for contempt when you're over a certain age, because the jail, even if it's 1 day or 2 days, it could kill you in a different way, let alone, and I know some of you said COVID, etc. Outside of that, from what I understand, I don't believe, again, I'm not a judge, but from what the little research I did, he cannot be thrown in jail. He could be fined or have other restitution. He could be, I mean, the judge could say, great, then you give her the $1 million and I'm going to make you give her $1 million.
Or plan B, which we all hope is the case. Forrest just comes out with it publicly. It tells everybody where it was found, who it is. Because if this happens, and we don't know that Forrest and his lawyer has been subpoenaed yet, because this order was just produced today. Is that correct?
Thursday.
Oh, well then maybe, okay, today's Saturday. But if it was me, I'd be like, okay, in other words, I'm not just going to tell you or the judge, I'm going to tell everybody to make it fair. But I'm assuming Forrest has contacted the finder, explained the situation. I think he's still leaving it up to the finder. Do you want to be anonymous, or could we just come out and tell everybody? And I guess we have to wait and see what happens, right?
Well, okay, so I would like to talk about the logic train that I'm, so if he knows who it is, and he says no, if he knows who it is and he says, okay, is he going to give the information out on his and the finder's terms before it hits, before he tells the judge and the person suing him? That could definitely, and that's what you just said. So that's scenario 2 in my mind. So scenario 1 is you've ordered it. I've explained to you why I shouldn't have to give it to you. I still have to, and I won't do it. And he's going to be held in contempt with some sort of restitution. 2, he could say, I know it, I'll give it to you, but I'm going to put it, or I'm going to have the finder put it out in a book, or I'm going to have a public press release, or I'm going to do something beforehand so everybody will know. Or 3, here's the third one. What if he doesn't know who it is? He said it was a person he didn't know. How many emails have we gotten from people's handles? What if he's shy guy from east at gmail.com? Right. And Forrest doesn't know who it is.
Right. And it could have been a lawyer that presented the treasure chest to Forrest. I mean, if somebody truly wanted to remain anonymous, have a lawyer present the treasure chest or contact Forrest and all that. Now, Forrest has said, I did get an email in 2018, or I had communication with this person in 2018, but all that is an email. And I think that would be sufficient. If Forrest replies to the subpoena, he could say, I have this email. That's the only contact information I have for this person. And then, I mean, then it's a big.
So he hands over.
What are you going to do?
So Forrest hands over. The only thing that I had was Gmail or the shy guy from east at gmail.com. I did see pieces of it, but it came from an attorney's office. And that's the only information that I can hand over. And he does that under oath and says that's absolutely the case. If it is the case, I don't think he's going to lie under oath. So,
Tennessee Tuxedo had a point. He says, nobody knows. No, I just lost it. He said something to the gist of, nobody knows what was said in email between Barbara and Forrest, or what was said between them two in meetups. And that's true. I have no idea what was said between Forrest and this person. But I don't think none of that matters to this particular case. The case is about the finder of your treasure chest hacked my email, hacked my solution, and that's how they found it. Isn't that the gist of this lawsuit?
Yes.
And the only reason Forrest is involved is she doesn't know the identity of the person who found it. Well, if Forrest was, in fact, to give the identity of the person who found it, Forrest's part is kind of out of it. Now it's between her and the finder, correct? So she's not suing Forrest Fenn. She's just saying, in order for me to sue the person I want to sue, you've got to tell me who that person is. And then it's still on her to prove that this person hacked her email.
Then it becomes a case and they have both the defendant and the plaintiff.
Right.
So let me go back to questions before I jump in my logic train, because I'm going down a logic path for me at least. Can the finder sue for defamation of character? I don't know, Nemo. That's a great question. And is there, so if this comes out that there's this stalker and stalking, does her personal life become, has there ever been issues with stalking in her life? All of that, does it become very personal? I would think so, but I have no idea. Defamation on which side? How does that work? I don't know. You already read that one? I think, I'm not reading that one.
Elton Ghost has one. Why would the judge grant this if it wasn't found in her search state? I wonder what's going on that we don't know.
Here's what I think. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just going to say, I don't even know if the judge knows who Forrest Fenn is or what search state it was found in. That's not his area he's not supposed to research the treasure chest. In other words, he got a lawsuit presented to him in a court of law, and it says this person hacked into my email, and by doing that they found this $1 million thing, and I can't figure out who that person is unless this other person tells me. So the judge read that and said, okay, I'm going to allow you to subpoena the other person to tell you. Then the judge can go on the merit of the case, and then
I think there's going to be something in between that. So I think so he just granted the subpoena. I don't know the legal terms. I think Forrest attorney is going to come out and say, but judge, before we even do that subpoena, did you know the person wasn't even in Wyoming? Do you know that there's all these other circumstances that she did not state that is in here? Maybe she talked about her being in a banana suit and out in front of her house or his house. And maybe all of that is going to be something that the Forrest attorney will want considered as a whole part of this case rather than just her piece. Maybe she presented it enough that the judge doesn't have the full story. So granted the subpoena, I think his attorney can come back, but there's an active subpoena out there. But I would think that's going to be the next step at this point. Hold on one second. GTC says, I feel like he may tell the judge privately where the location is in Wyoming, therefore rendering the lawsuit officially baseless. So him saying that it's in Wyoming, is that not enough right now? So it's an interesting, I am, go ahead.
No. I haven't read this whole lawsuit. Is the lawsuit that, hey, this person hacked my email? Or does the lawsuit say this person hacked my email and use that info to find the treasure? In other words, Forrest supplies the name and it's determined that that person that found Forrest Fenn's treasure is not the person that hacked her email, assuming somebody did hack her email. Is this lawsuit thrown out because she has identified the wrong person? And now she has to try. I just don't know how the legal.
I believe it's her. It is her. It's going to be on her to prove that somebody did. Like if I said, Mike Cowlazar hacked into my email, it's going to be on me to prove that. It's not on you to prove the negative. It's on me to prove the positive. So yes, but she's saying, but judge, it's unfair because I don't know the person's name and identified information, but I know I got a text message right after it was announced that day or whichever day. I don't remember all the details enough because there were so many text messages as a supplement to this. So
3D Bronze says, ladies clearly using this as a way to find out who the real finder is. Why wouldn't she have the court subpoena the phone company to find out the identity of the person who texted her, or hacked her? Yeah. And exactly. I don't know why she doesn't have more info, but I can't speak to what's in her mind when she put this together. So
yeah, but the odd part to me is anybody can sue and they can be a little off. I'm a little surprised that the judge granted it based on some random kind of crazy text messages. I do believe it seems that they were kind of oddly timed and they were a little off, but or they seem to say what she's saying, but is that enough for him to have to identify someone that now will be in harm's way? If all the crazy people figure out who this is like winning the lottery. There's people that'll come after you. I mean, that's kind of scary.
If Forrest, through his lawyer, does supply it, the judge can decide to keep it sealed and not release the information. Is that correct?
Except to her.
Oh, no.
She's going on YouTube in the middle of the court case.
Right.
I mean,
How
many times has she contacted how many different people, put her telephone number on how many different places?
Then maybe the finder can sue her and say, you just outed me. You just put me out in the public and I'm not the one who hacked you. I mean, we don't know how this is going to happen, but Denise Bagley says, you are correct, Kpro. I just asked an attorney. It's not Forrest's responsibility to prove anything. Attorney said she's an attorney and she should know better. It's not Forrest's responsibility to prove anything. It's just, I don't know if the judge is saying, she says, you know, this person, you have to provide that person. I just don't know if legally Forrest has to provide the person's name or not. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gallatin Ghost, was F sued initially by her before or after the fine was announced? The fine was announced on Saturday. And from what I understand, Monday morning, she filed the lawsuit.
And that was against Forrest?
Initially, it was against Forrest and the finder. And then she asked to amend the suit because she said she doesn't want to sue Forrest. She wants to make him a mandatory subpoenable witness. Like kind of like, I mean, he's not going to give it up without being court ordered to. He's already made that clear. So basically, she asked the court to make him do it under penalty of contempt, which that's a whole thing when you're 90.
And can Forrest just plead the fifth and say, I'm not gonna put that out there because I've already told this person I wouldn't, and like it harms my reputation, my word.
Right, and that's what news reporters do.
Not gonna hurt himself. And then the judge would say, you can't handle the truth. And I don't know.
No, and then the judge, okay, so there is precedent in the court of like a reporter saying, I have a private person that wanted to remain anonymous, and the judge says, give me the name and information, and they say no, and those people are thrown in jail, and sometimes they're thrown in jail until they do
contempt of court.
Contempt of court. So could contempt be jail time? I don't think at his age, but that is what is being threatened, if you will. Or it could be a fine, or the judge, I don't know if this can happen, but the judge maybe could say, okay, then you pay the restitution. She's asking for $1 million. Put up or shut up.
So I wonder if Forrest thought he would be sued about. I wonder if Forrest ever thought he would be sued about not revealing the finder and not revealing the solution, because this case is different. This is involving the hacking of somebody's email. It's not just her saying, "Hey, I spent a lot of time on the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt. I'm going to sue you because you owe me." I don't think Forrest owes anybody anything legally. I may ethically think he should tell us, but legally, I don't think he owes anybody anything. But this is different. This is the person who found it, stole it, and I don't know if Forrest ever thought of this type of thing.
Let's go back 10 years. Do you think Forrest, when he said he thought of everything, did he think a woman would be in a banana costume and emailing him pictures of her boots on the ground?
Oh, I'm sure he's seen many pictures throughout the 10 years.
Banana costume. And that same person sued him like, banana costume. Come on, you can't make this is better than any movie.
Grab every banana, everybody.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I wonder what Forrest thinks, but he's not gonna comment publicly on it. I don't believe, but maybe a new scrapbook will show up tomorrow on Dale's blog. You never know. And it's about how grab every banana was not literal. Everybody. Yeah.
No, I think Forrest is going to do what most attorneys do, and from what I can tell, the other person from Chicago has actually started removing all of the comments, all of the information. You usually stay quiet during a lawsuit, and that's not. I think on the one YouTube, she's done a few of them, said, I'm not under gag order. No, you don't have to. It's just wise to stay quiet during a court order, not go on and say, I was in a banana costume, and take me seriously, Judge.
Let me read this part. This is the paragraph in the lawsuit, or whatever this amended complaint is, whatever you want to call it. This is before the paragraph that we read or that we looked at. So that it is ordered. This is what the court ordered. But before this, he gives a reason why he ordered what he did. It says the court grants plaintiff's motion as to Rule 45 in part, provides that a party may not seek discovery from any source before the parties have conferred as required. However, discovery may be permitted in advance of a Rule 26F conference when authorized by a court order. The court finds there is good cause to grant, in part, plaintiff's request for discovery before the Rule 26F conference because the unknown defendant must be identified before this case can proceed. And plaintiff has established a good faith basis that Forrest Fenn knows the unknown defendant's name and address. So I think basically the judge is saying, you're trying to bring this lawsuit. You can't do anything until you identify who this person is. You've shown to me that Forrest Fenn does in fact know who this person is. So go ahead and subpoena them. And then once I have that information, then I'll decide if this thing is going to go forward or not.
Yeah.
The court does allow plaintiff to seek limited discovery from Forrest Fenn to obtain the identity and address of the unknown defendant. Plaintiff may move for additional discovery regarding the unknown defendant's solve, communications, and search retrieval conduct after Forrest Fenn responds to her subpoena regarding the unknown defendant's name and address. So yeah, that's true. I mean, the judge is saying if you don't know who this person is, well then I can't do anything. So I will allow you to try and figure out who the person is. And you've proven to me, probably because he did look at the news articles where Forrest says it was found, it was a shy guy from back east. Maybe the judge saw the pictures of Forrest with the treasure chest, and you can probably
I don't think they do anything more than what's in, like they don't go and look for outside information.
Right. Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I think the judge is just saying subpoena it from Forrest. It'll be, now it's on Forrest once he gets the subpoena. It will be interesting to see how he responds.
Yeah. This is interesting indeed. So I think, like I've always said, I believe these will need to be dismissed, settled, whatever. These lawsuits, there's a lot of people now saying I might have had mine stolen too, and they're talking about suing. So this might actually make a mechanism where a lot of people can say, well, mine too.
And Braun says, the stupid thing is she has no evidence that the finder is the person that texted her. Well, we don't know that. One, maybe she does, and she hasn't, I don't know, presented it. But until they know who the finder is, it doesn't matter. But yes, if Forrest Fenn was to reveal who the finder is to the court, now it's on her to prove that this person is the one who hacked her. And then that would become whatever case that becomes. Yeah.
Well, Captain Marvel says she may have been sending herself text messages. This is where it gets interesting, because from what I understand, the court basically starts it with, if a court case comes in, a lot of them have been just thrown out because they have no merit. After that, though, once they actually get to the next gate, which I believe now this one is past the initial gate of being thrown out because a subpoena was just ordered, now it'll be on Forrest's attorney to get information together, like, well, who is any random person stalking you? Do you have other stalking cases? Have you ever stalked anybody? What is your history with this person? What is the telephone number of this person? We'll do some investigation. Are they in your personal life? Were they a searcher? Did they know you? How did they know? All of that now becomes in play. From what I'm understanding is basically Forrest has nothing to prove, and Forrest will have nothing to prove. But if he doesn't want to give up the information that the subpoena orders, then that's where it gets into the next step. So yeah, there you go.
See, it sounds to me that she needs the info within 21 days. That's the way I read it, but I could be wrong. Yeah, so we'll see if in the next week or so we hear something from Forrest. I just wish the actual finder who knows all this would just be like, okay, I don't know who this person is. I don't know what she's talking about hacking, but put it out there.
Yeah, but
what's going to make you put it out there? And let's just put it out there for everybody.
Well, let's flip the conversation now. If you're the shy guy from back east, Mike, let's say you're the shy guy from back east. You've been worried all along of your family safety. Everybody has a different perspective on, you and I have different perspectives on whether people say bad stuff about you, threaten you, or whatever. What if this person now is looking at this and going, okay, I can put all the information out, or they may be doing the opposite. This is what I'd be doing. I need to get my own attorney now. I'm now going to be involved in this case in a more significant way because she passed the initial discovery or whatever it is. She's now it's going to be a real lawsuit where I'm named. Oh my gosh, I'm going to stay more quiet than ever. That's what I'd be doing, or that's what I think my attorney would be saying, right?
From the shy guy or from her?
Shy guy.
Oh,
if you were shy guy and shy guy's attorney, hey, now Forrest is being made to give up your identity. I would stay even more quiet than before.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
So Chasing Any wants to know, Kpro, will you go live the moment you know if you're going to West Yellowstone for the meetup?
Yeah, I won't know until a day or two before. There's lots of stuff happening.
Yeah.
But I'll let everybody know. We'll put it up on Facebook, etc. Right now, I'm going to say no. There was quite a few people that said I'm only going for if you guys are there, which is silly. There's so many great searchers. So we're going to say no, but at the last minute, we might be able to go. And if we do, we know GTC already gave up our room. That's fine. Copper Dan. The reason we're not going is Copper Dan. He stole our room. Just kidding.
Yeah, and it's not about us. So go,
Totally about us.
picture to do all that. No, it's not.
So
it's no, unless that changes. And if it changes, 2 days before Labor
I totally want to go. It'll be so fun no matter what happens. So I don't think we'll have any information. I think we would have had information before now, but we got to get this stuff settled. So
it's interesting. Denise Bagley says you can't steal a solve. And I will give my 2 cents and say, you can't steal a solve that's publicly posted, but somebody could obviously steal something off my computer. That very well could be stolen. And that's anything. You can steal anything off a computer. You know what I mean? But I don't know the details of that case. I'm just saying you can't steal something that's made public. But if somebody
you can, okay, let's play this out. Let's play this out.
Could steal.
I have a NESPER solve, or let's just say I have a Wyoming solve. I have it on my email. Nobody's supposed to get it. And Robert the robber Henry the hacker hacks into my computer.
Here, Henry the hacker.
Henry the hacker illegally hacks into my computer and finds it as I'm going boots on the ground. He gets there 3 hours before I arrive and texts me, I just found it at your spot because I hacked your computer. Ha ha, B word. I got it. You don't. And it was your solve. And here's the location I found it in. Ha ha. Do I have legal rights to sue that person? I think I would, to say you illegally hacked my information.
I think whether the finder finds it or found it or not, or I'm sorry, if whether the person who hacked the computer found it or not, you still have a legal right to go after the person that hacked your computer. To me, the crime is they hacked your computer, not whether they found the treasure.
No, but if they hack your computer, they go to jail for a month. I want the $1 million. I want the treasure chest. And Holly just said she had the same location.
But isn't that 2 separate issues? So
yes, one's criminal, one's civil. I don't care if the guy goes to jail. I want my treasure chest back.
What I'm trying to say is those are 2 separate things. If I can prove that Kpro hacked my computer, that's one thing. Now I also have to prove that you use that information to find the treasure. Those are 2 separate issues. Hacking of a computer is one thing. Now, is any information you glean from that hack what you used? That's a totally separate issue. How do you prove that? I mean, it depends. In my opinion, it depends how my solve that you hacked lines up with the actual solution.
Right. So in my opinion,
location of the treasure chest.
In my opinion, let's say Forrest hands over, the finder was Mike Cowlazars. This Chicago attorney is going to need to prove you were the one that hacked her computer. And it can't just be, I think so, because I was in a banana costume and I think it. It has to be based on something. 2, that it was actually found in that spot. And 3, you actually do have it. Now, Forrest saying that the person has it is probably enough. But now she's going to have to prove the hacking.
Well, know what can happen. What? If in fact the Forrest gives up the finder, if the finder becomes known, you know what the second part is? How did the finder find the treasure chest? You have to know what the answer is to the 9 clues. And she's going to subpoena him to say those because she needs to know if they match what her answer to the 9 clues are. That's the only way you can prove that you use the information on my computer to find the treasure chest, if you know what the actual solution is that led the person to the treasure chest. And then you see if those 2 things match. Right? So
but we already know it doesn't match. We already know.
Oh, how do we know that? Because she
has flat out said my solve was in New Mexico. Forrest has flat out said the finder was from Wyoming.
Well, then, I don't understand that. Unless she's trying to say Forrest is lying to cover up something. But yeah, that's a whole other can of worms we don't want to open. Yeah, if your solution that was hacked doesn't match the actual solution.
Well, when she filed it, though, Wyoming wasn't out there. Wyoming was not out there. And somebody said earlier, we know he knows who it is because the finder and him put out the state. No, that could have just been, I don't know, that could have just been.
Well, Forrest is in contact with the person. He said.
Right.
The person agrees.
Guy from back east.
At gmail.com. Yeah, I get it. All it is a contact. And that's what he could supply to the court and say, this is all I have, this email address. Good luck. And then the court can email it. But I mean, what are you going to do with that? But what's going to happen is she's going to try and say, well, Forrest, now you have to give up the solution. You've got to, now the court is going to, I want the court to allow me to subpoena you to give me the solution to see if it matches what mine is. And that just gets into a slippery slope, I think.
Toby, can I read this on the air? Please answer if I can. I'll answer a couple other questions. I do see your email.
Nice.
GTC, I mean, I want to, but I don't know if you're okay with it. Is this just for me or is this for everybody? GTC, he Clue Solutions won't match the finders because it was yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
I mean, GTC is not right very often, but he's exactly right here.
Oh.
He says it's not going to match. We already know that. But here's the thing. The judge doesn't know that. The judge hasn't looked into whatever is presented. They're just, this isn't a final court case. This is just preliminary.
Judge has to be impartial. He's a judge. He has to go on the facts that are in the lawsuit and that are presented before him. So I think you're right, Kpro. I don't think he's researching who Forrest Fenn is or looking at newspaper clips or Dale's blog.
I don't think they can.
The facts that are presented to him in the court of law. So he's just like, you saying this person hacked you, go find out who the person is. Otherwise, you have 21 days. Otherwise, you can't go forward with this lawsuit when you can't identify the person you're trying to sue.
So Tony, are you going? He says, if I send you 3 dozen more change, will you go to the bridge? Yeah, do you see? This is my life. My life is Tony.
At first, I read that he was going to send 3 dozen to be given away, whether you go or not. I didn't read all.
No, I think that's what he's saying.
I want to send 3 dozen. Awesome. I was like, wow, but yeah.
Okay, this is what Toby has to say, and he's always he always brings up something that I don't consider. This doesn't get her anywhere. Let's assume the unknown defendant is the finder. Let's further assume Fenn provides the court the information Anderson has requested. Let's further assume that the finder does not live in New Mexico. If those are all true, Anderson's case in New Mexico has no standing as she lives in Illinois and the finder does not live in New Mexico. She would have to file a suit against the finder in another federal district court.
That could be.
The question is whether the court would have to the question that the court would have to ask is, quote, for what purpose? If the treasure was indeed found in Wyoming and her case was based on her being hacked, as a result, costing her New Mexico quote unquote solve, there is no case. The only benefit if the second case proceeds is that the court may require the finder to prove the location of the find. I don't see the theory for this case. But here's the thing, I totally agree with you. Are you surprised, Toby? I thought all of us agreed. I thought it was going to be thrown out. Are you surprised that the subpoena was even granted? Based on, I mean, could any of the 7%ers out there have texted themselves, hey, I hacked your computer and gotten the finder's information?
You got to prove that stuff. How do you, you
right.
Well, they say anybody can sue over anything, and maybe that's true. I mean, I don't know. But it definitely could be thrown out over jurisdiction because it reminds me of the poker cheating case, Mike Postle. I just read recently there was a poker player that lives here in Nevada that sued Mike Postle over the cheating case in Nevada. And they threw it out because they said the poker game was in California. You don't have jurisdiction.
Right.
And they tried to say because it was broadcast live, they did, that everybody in Nevada watched. They're like, no, you were there physically present at the casino in California. And they just threw it out just based on jurisdiction alone, not on the merit of the case. So.
Well, I just think I mean, I think it's interesting, but effectively anyone that wants to get the finder's information for whatever reason, and we know some people believe this should be theirs just based on what they gave up in the years and their family and their house and their marriage and everything that they gave up, they believe they want the finder's information not for good reasons. So would they make up a hack or a text? Oh, Cal found the treasure in November and moved to a mansion with a pool.
Well, how else do you think me and Kpro are putting $100 into each of our grand adventures?
I mean, that's $100 whole dollars.
Yeah, that's $100 American. You know,
come on.
How else am I playing Buffalo machines early into the morning on the strip? Anyway, yeah, this will be interesting.
I'm just surprised it's gotten this far, but I mean, again, this could be a TV movie.
Maybe it will be someday.
The New Mexico District Court judge effectively has killed the case in the New Mexico District Court. That I believe, I see your logic, Toby, and I agree, except for they granted the subpoena to Forrest to give up the finder's information. That is a very risky thing to do for the finder.
So
you
can
think?
we go down the conspiracy rabbit hole? Because some people are going to think about this. There's some people who don't think there was a finder. There's some people that think Forrest Fenn retrieved it and ended it for whatever reason. How
Yes.
does, if that's the case, which I don't believe, but if that is the case, how does Forrest Fenn respond to a subpoena about the shy guy from back east if he made it up? How does
Right.
that work?
Well, and one person just absolutely is going after Cynthia and saying, how does he do it now? Because we all know that it's Cynthia that has it, just slandering the hell out of Cynthia. But I was just thinking, let's just say whoever it was, it doesn't matter if it was a woman from the New Mexico or a guy from another state. Yeah, that's we're hundredaires. Yeah, not millionaires, hundredaires.
Or with Forrest, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's a whole other rabbit hole you could go down. So I don't know.
Well, does this set any precedents in the future for others to sue? See, I felt like there were 3 lawsuits.
Yeah, I
One
hate
was
to
already
say it.
dismissed, one an extension, one now has a subpoena. Does this make any of the others, others meaning people that maybe think there's this hack? How many people have shared their solve with us and then said we stole it and we have it? I mean, I won't
How
say
many people
accosted.
posted it on a forum somewhere and then said we
Yes.
stole it because we talked about it?
Well, I
Yeah.
told Toby this one. I had 2 guys at WSOF, and I was kind of looking at a couple of you, like, kind of corner me in the suite and said, "We know Toby just got a house. You need to tell us if he's
Right.
got." And
They were serious.
they
Yeah.
were serious and they were scary. And it was like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm in the
Right.
suite. Do you see me over here?" And you guys were all close enough. It was fine. But there are some people that are really fixated on the conspiracy theory rather than the simple Occam's razor. Now, am I 100% that there's a shy guy from back east? I'm not, but man, this is going to be interesting to watch from here on, because if there's not a shy guy from back east, what a conundrum. What if there is a shy guy from back east and there's some reason? What if, I got another one. What if Forrest says, okay, shy guy from back east is John Doe, doesn't even matter his name. And then John Doe is mandated to tell the solve, and the solve was in Yellowstone, and he should have turned it in to the Yellowstone people. And we know from Justin that he didn't.
Um,
And now he loses the treasure chest and it goes to the tax man, and it's sitting in you're not allowed to touch it in a museum. Do you see what
that
can
would
happen?
be a story for Netflix, wouldn't it? That would be a story people would want to watch, a
Yep.
documentary. Yeah, that's why I say it's the whole can of worms. But to answer your question, I think other people, that there's somebody out there that wants to know who the finder is, and they really want to know the solution. They want to know what the answer was.
Badly.
And I believe they would be upset enough with the amount of time and money they've spent on this thing over the 10 years to sue to try and get it.
Right.
I just don't know what's a valid reason. What can you sue for? Trying to say somebody hacked into your computer and I can't, and I have to know who found the treasure to know who that is. I don't get it. And I think it'll be thrown out even if Forrest does give the name, because then now she has to prove, and I don't know how you prove that stuff, but I don't have all the facts. So I don't know. But
I
here's
don't know
the thing
either.
maybe Forrest didn't think about is, if we go back, he said, I think the person who finds it won't keep it quiet. Well, apparently they do want to keep it quiet. So
No, but he said they wouldn't keep it quiet, meaning they would. The question I think that was posed is wouldn't tell anybody, including him. And
no.
he's like, "Oh, they're going to say some, maybe only something to Forrest." But
Yeah, maybe that's
and
how he.
Forrest has not said, "I sat and met with him and
Right.
talked
He
about."
never
Now he
said
did
that,
have the bracelet on, but he's never
but a
said
lawyer could
he
have
knew him.
presented that. Right.
He
We
never
don't.
said he knew the identity.
Right. Shy guy from back east.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but I do believe that these lawsuits are preventing him from saying any more about the solution. Forget about the finder, just the solution, or answering any questions about anything. I think his lawyer's like, you can't say anything publicly.
Well,
He gave
and
it the state, but that was it.
right, and Josh Jordan said Fenn definitely sweats any lawsuit. He'd be
Oh,
foolish not
that
to.
Randy.
I agree. I believe he has to be not sweat. Like, does it burden him in such a way that maybe he's losing some sleep? I don't think it's something. I mean, we think about it, he's a war hero. He's been shot down. He's had a lot of things. I think when it comes to this, I would be worried about going to jail. I don't think he can go to jail based on his age for this being a contempt charge. I think it's like a weekend jail kind of thing, literally. Well, I won't talk about the other person that.
And
So I think it's like a weekend jail kind of thing.
Randy says, always the optimist, what if Forrest passes away before he can answer? That's a horrible thought. But I mean, that would
No,
just
but it's a real conversation to have.
Yeah, it is.
I think those of you that are not new, you know, when Toby and Shelly did a what happens when Forrest passes away, what happens to the hunt, I was so offended. And I wrote Forrest and said, they're being so rude. This is before I knew Toby and Shelly. And he's like, well, you do know one day I'm going to pass away. He's like, it's not rude. It's a real conversation to have. I'm
Yeah,
like, okay.
right.
So
Right.
I was realizing that, but so it's not terrible. What if he passes away and he hasn't told anybody else? I think it's like,
Forrest wouldn't go to jail, but I do believe he could pay money. He would have to, like Randy just said, is this a criminal case? You can't go to jail for a civil case. No, but you
yes,
can pay a
no,
lot of
that's
money.
not true. That's
Ask
not true.
OJ. You can pay a lot of money in a civil case.
No, you can go to jail for contempt of a subpoena, contempt of
Contempt of
court.
court. That's different than civil.
Yes.
Gotcha.
No,
So,
good.
no, you're right. You're right. In other words, a civil case or a criminal case is different than the subpoena. It doesn't matter which one of those.
Randy, you can
are.
absolutely
Subpoena.
go to jail for any civil, family, domestic matter when you're found in contempt of court,
Right.
either by a custody arrangement that you violate, a subpoena based on a white collar crime, a news reporter that does not give their information of who their witness was. There's many, many, many cases. I just happen to know this personally.
And I'll bring this up just because MEH had this point, and Denise Bagley picks it up about Yellowstone. You don't have to hand it in if it was found in Yellowstone. It's on the Yellowstone site, only if you don't know who it belongs to. MEH's point was, if I find a wallet and it identifies who the person is with a phone number, I can just call that person and give it to them. And then other people were like, no, you have to turn it in. So and I don't know the answer to this. The question is, if anybody leaves anything in Yellowstone, whether it fell out of my pocket or I take my wallet and I throw it, does that then, as soon as it touches the ground, does it become the property of the Yellowstone National Park? And I don't know the answer.
Yeah, okay, let me use a different example. If it was found on Indian property, let's go there. Right. If it was found on private property, I'm not going to get into the legalities. Okay, so let's go back to Randy's point. He says, but that's not part of the case. That's contempt of court, a separate charge. Forrest has not been charged with anything. Forrest is now going to be presented with a subpoena. Based on him being compliant and responding to the subpoena per the judge's order, he will be held in contempt or not in contempt, unless something happens before that. But right now, there's a subpoena. Based on the subpoena, he has to respond to those items. If he doesn't, that's contempt. And then contempt can be based on, you can have both civil and criminal. You can be fined, you can be thrown in jail. Now, you're not thrown in hardcore prison. You're put in jail. Usually you check in for well, I think everybody knows, so I'll say, you guys know the guy that was at Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. He was finally given this was a different thing. This was a criminal charge. He has to check into jail for a week. It's only a week, but still, that's damn scary.
And this was where they had to rescue him with the snowmobiles and all that stuff. So that's the time that was spent, right? Time and money and all that.
Right. He had a fine, but he also has to check into court. Or check into jail. That's a scary thing. That's what usually when you have these sorts of matters, that's the kind of thing you do. You check into a jail. It's not a prison. Anyway. So,
But back to the Yellowstone property thing. That's an interesting point to me. If something is left behind in Yellowstone, intentionally or not, does it become the property of Yellowstone? Even if whatever it is identifies who the owner is. I would assume it becomes the property of Yellowstone. It's on their property. You don't care?
No, this is getting into solves and people want to discuss this. Once Forrest has said it's found in Yellowstone, I'll go down that I went down this rabbit hole for days researching if it's lost, if it's abandoned, I thought it'd be so simple. I have each category, BLM, National Forest, National Park, all of those. And then I put, whether it was lost, abandoned, or, oh my gosh, there's so many interpretations. There's so many, it's not that easy. And so this is a rabbit hole I will not yet go down again.
And the reason it came up is some people are thinking that's why the finder doesn't want to be identified, because there's a legal issue, because he did not follow the law and turn it in. Some people are saying, but he knew it was Forrest Fenn's. He's not required to turn it in. I got to imagine if something is left behind in the park, you have to turn it in. That's just my thought. I haven't looked up any regulation or anything. I mean, think about it.
Well, but wasn't that Justin's point? If you find a wallet and let's say it has $1,000 in it, and let's say you're a bad person, you're Johnny Danger, and you take the $1,000 and you throw you leave $1 in it and you throw the wallet. Now Mike Cal is the nicest guy ever. He calls that person and they say, it's only $1. You stole the 1,000.
Right.
And now you're in legal. So don't do that. Turn it in.
Right.
So
yeah, I got you. And then, but some people are like, well, that's lost and found. It was never lost. Forrest knows right where he put it. I don't think that matters. If it was something was left in a park, I think the park could takes possession of it. I want to say owns it, but they let the finder prove it was theirs to get it back. But yeah, you're right. It's
that bracelet that I just showed you, that diamond bracelet, I went through a whole process. It had to sit there for like 30 or 60 days. I went through that whole process. I don't know who officially owned it.
This was at a hotel that you worked at? Okay.
Yeah.
So if you would have found it and there was a tag that identified who the owner was, would you have turned it in, or would you have just called the owner and said, I found your bracelet here. Do you want it? Come get it. That's kind of the point.
I took it to security and I thought it was just going to get turned in. I thought for sure with a bracelet that had that many diamonds, somebody was at the front desk going, I lost my bracelet. I thought for sure somebody was going to.
Right.
So,
but I guess the point is you turn it in. The right thing to do is turn it in, even though it's Forrest Fenn's treasure chest. And the thing is, it is Forrest Fenn's treasure chest. He knows it's his. Everybody who reads the paper knows it is. He's going to get it to you if it was turned in. Yeah. But yeah, why talk about it when we don't know if it was in the park or not?
Okay, here's a question from Indy, and I have an answer. I don't know if it's the right one, but how did they get the chest during COVID lockdown? COVID lockdown was until June 1st. It was found, I believe, June 2nd or 3rd. He said a couple of days before, and he announced it on the 6th, D-Day, 6/6. So if he announced it on 6/6, it was like June 2nd, 3rd. That was after the June 1st. Yellowstone was open. Montana was open. Wyoming was open. That's just my opinion. That's just my.
If you ever find the link you're talking about, just email it to me. I'd like to read it. If you ever find where that is.
Who what?
I'm used to saying it's on the Yellowstone website. I need to find it again. It's 30 days to find the owner, only if you don't know who it belongs to. It would be interesting to me if the Yellowstone website says that if you find something and you don't know who it belongs to, you turn it in. But if you do know who it belongs to, give it back, then you don't have to. I'd like to see the wording on that. So if you can find it at some point, just email it to me, or if anybody out there can find it. We're talking about Yellowstone National Park.
I am the rightful owner. You need to return it to me. It's not Forrest.
So there it is, everybody. Yeah, the breaking news is that, in fact, the judge has allowed this person to subpoena Forrest through his lawyer to give up the information on the finder.
The finder's identity and information. Yep, that's exactly.
Address, those kind of things. Right. Nothing about the solve at this point. All that we read in there was the identity of the finder. That's it. But to me, that's the next step. If Forrest does, in fact, give up the finder, the next step is, okay, how did you find it? What was your solution? But we'll see if it gets that far.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know what? I could ask that to Randy. Randy, what if somebody does randomly find your token? I know you've painted it and it's a certain way. To me, it sounds like it's hidden hidden in plain sight. But if somebody was to find it and they see your contact info, do they have to, in your opinion, should they turn it into the park of wherever it is, or should they call you and say, I found your token? Legally, I don't know. Legally, it's the same thing. It's just when you're talking about $1 million in gold, it changes the conversation a little bit. And especially the actual gold, not a proxy item. But, when you find something in a park, especially a national park, do you have to turn it in?
Yeah, but this one's a little different because I don't remember in Randy's book. Great story by the Beacon Star. Just for the story, it's kind of fun. I don't remember him saying, I give you title to the gold. And I think Forrest has a different, remember when I asked, do they own it? And Forrest is like, I said it in my poem. They have title to the gold.
And Forrest actually said the word, whoever finds it owns it, in my opinion. That's as far as he's concerned, whoever finds it owns it.
Ooh, do you see Randy's answer?
So I don't think it would be considered a lost item. But see, I guess that's the question. There's contact info. Well, was there contact info in Forrest?
Yeah.
We don't know. So, okay. You're right. It's not lost. You intentionally left it there. So, yeah. Interesting talk about treasure hunts. And should it be a proxy item or should it be the thing itself and all that fun stuff?
Well, and I think that's So there's a lot of things that happen initially in any industry that later then becomes precedents for the court. Kind of like when McDonald's had such piping hot coffee and the woman spilled it, had 4th-degree burns, was able to sue McDonald's and won. That's precedent in the court. So I think we're in this whole treasure hunting community is new enough. There was a few out there. Now there's more, and gosh, now there's tons. I think this whole legal side of things, what happens when somebody, well, like when Randy Ballou passed, his ex-wife was on his behalf saying that it was for his fault. Legally, was it his fault? Those are ambiguous lines that maybe 20-30 years from now are going to be there'll be a lot more precedent in the court about it. So,
well, let me ask you this, Randy, because I think it's kind of the same situation. When you found that item you found for treasure trove, wasn't that in a park? And maybe you can make a video on this at some later time. Did it have contact info on it? So when you, and let's just, as a thought process, let's say one of the treasure trove items was found in a national park, okay, like Yellowstone. What if the author, Michael Stather, hid one of those things? He threw it in the knothole in the tree in a national park. Person finds it by reading the book. Do they legally have to turn it in and wait the 30 days to say it's mine? Or can you legally just take it home and say,
well, and here's the crazy part.
Yeah, those are.
Let me give you the best answer in the world, because
Yeah.
I had my attorney when I went through a pretty bad divorce. It depends on who has the better lawyer.
Oh, that's true. Anything can be argued. That's true. If something goes to a trial, anything can be argued. Look at OJ once again. I don't know why I keep bringing him back up. Okay, Randy says yes. Anita State Park. It was a state park. It only had a phone number and a serial number on it. I mean, and that token, I don't know what that was worth, but I think the difference here is we're talking about $1 million in a treasure chest of worth of goods. Like if I find a $20 bill that's blown against a fence in a park, I put it in my pocket, and you keep going. But if you find a wallet that has an ID in it, I would turn it in. I'm not going to take the money out of it. I would turn it in because somebody obviously lost that.
No, but you said you're going to call that person. I would be saying, Mike, don't call that person. You are such
I didn't say I was going to call that person. Denise or somebody. I never said.
Okay.
Actually, if it's a park that like has workers that like, especially if you have to pay to get into the park, I would turn it into one of them and be like, somebody's going to come back. Just like when you find a cell phone. Sure, you could go through the contacts or wait for them to call you. If you ever lost your cell phone and then when you realize it, you call it from somebody else's number and say, hey, this is mine. Will you give it back? Yeah, it's just an interesting question. Legally.
Wait. Now Goldilocks, because Goldilocks kind of broke this over on Thor. Wait. I just tuned in. Forrest isn't subpoenaed to tell finders info. It's to tell unknown defendants info. That may be different.
What? How would Forrest know who the unknown defendant is? Or maybe that's a legal point that Forrest could try and say is that I don't know who you're talking about in this lawsuit.
Yeah, I just did totally. Yeah.
Let's go back to it. Let's read it again. I wonder, does it ever say the finder? It just does say, so the words are unknown defendant. I don't know if anywhere in there does it say the unknown defendant is the finder, but yeah, I understand that's a legal point. His lawyer.
Yeah, no, but think about this.
The unknown defendant is.
But she's suing him based on being the finder of the treasure chest. So I think they're one and the same person.
Right. Well, Barbara's saying they are, but legally, could Forrest's lawyer argue the point that your unknown, you can't prove to me your unknown defendant that hacked you is the finder. So therefore, we don't know who the unknown defendant is. We don't have.
That's what Carrie Galloway saying is two people. So there's the hacker and the finder. Mm-hmm. But from what I'm understanding, bring it back up. I believe that the judge is saying that Forrest doesn't know who Barbara's crazy hacker is. He does know who the finder is. Why would Forrest know who the hacker is? He doesn't know this woman other than she sends him banana costume pictures.
But the judge did say, the unknown defendant must be identified before this case can proceed. The plaintiff has established a good faith basis that Forrest Fenn does know the unknown defendant's name and address. And that is because I guess Barbara has said this person is the person who found the treasure.
Is the finder, not because he knows her well enough to know who could be stalking. I don't think he knows anything of her personal life at that level. I think go down.
The court allows plaintiffs
to all the way down to the last paragraph.
Plaintiffs may serve a subpoena on Forrest Fenn that seeks and is limited to information sufficient to the identity of unknown defendant, including name, address, telephone number, email. So in good faith, Barbara somehow has argued that the unknown defendant is the person that found the treasure chest.
Right, absolutely. That's the only reason she's suing. Right. If it's just a stalker, she would be, I think, just filing a stalking claim in criminal court. It wouldn't be, yeah. So I think they're one and the same, but Goldilocks, I am not an attorney, nor do I play one on TV.
So isn't it clear to you that when the plaintiff shall file an amended complaint within 21 days, the amended complaint is you have to get the identity, because this cannot proceed without the identity of unknown defendant. So she has to get Forrest to respond within 21 days. Otherwise, this is going to be thrown out.
Maybe. I don't know that. I think if you looked at the judge's original response, there was a bunch of things she said by way that there didn't seem to be enough merit in the case to move it forward. I don't know if all those relate to needing the finder's information. So, and what if Forrest just waits it out 21 days and then it gets dismissed? That doesn't seem like it should be reasonable. So I don't know.
Yeah,
but this is now a hacker case. Goldilocks is exactly right. I think that's the difference. If I just said, Mike took my solve, that dirty rotten scoundrel, that's not the issue here. Doing it under
a criminal,
like hacking, like let's say someone broke into my house and took my notes. They broke in at that time. So I think that's the difference.
Yeah, the difference is there's a criminal act this is what the lawsuit's about, the criminal act. If somebody just says the finder, I think I know the solution and it was in Wyoming and I think the finder stole my solution, but I wasn't hacked or anything. That's not a valid lawsuit, I don't think. But like you said, anything can be argued. All you got to do is get it to trial and hope somebody settles.
Yeah, Randy, what is she hoping to gain from this? Does she think she'll end up with the treasure? I think that's exactly what she's trying to do. Financial gain is what I'm understanding. I was charged with hacking fun times. Ooh, okay. I don't know. Yeah, I think the whole stalking case or stalking history, I think now she's opening herself up for a lot more insight on, all of that hacking, stalking. Has this ever happened before? Why did she put how many times did she put her telephone number out publicly on our comment section of our videos? It's like, my first question is, how did somebody get your phone number? But she puts her phone number out. I mean, this was well before any of this happened. When she was banned like a year or two ago on YouTube, Thor, everywhere, she would put her information up. Putting your private telephone number, you get people that then, anyway.
Yeah. Goldilocks says she claims F said it was Wyoming just to take heat off this case. Right. And that's another aspect. The judge isn't going to be like, well, sorry, it was found in Wyoming. The judge can't believe. It's got to be proven in a court of law. So the judge can't just say it wasn't found in your state, I'm going to throw this out. He can only rule on what's presented to him by attorneys, right? So interesting.
But the interesting part is it wasn't thrown out. Something was granted. I don't understand all the details. We might have gotten something a little off. We didn't intentionally do that. And so it's informational at best.
Right. And there it is, everybody.
There you have it. There it is.
So if you're tired of hearing about lawsuits and wondering how close you were to the treasure that has been found, there is a grand adventure going on next Saturday. And that you actually have a chance to solve and win. You guys, we've made videos. You should already know what the grand adventure is. That'll be a lot of fun on Saturday.
But since Indy is now in the room, Indy is the one that actually won the first drawing. And Kpro, I know some people are going to say, oh, but Indy's your friend. No, you saw Kpro pick the ball up. We put it right there. It was Indy. It's awesome. And you know what she did? She said, put it back in the hunt, guys. I want this to continue to go. That's called karma. That's called good people. So we're going to put it back in the prize pool and we're going to keep it going. So thank you to Indy. Someone said that was sweet. No pun intended. Oh, ta-da.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This has been a Forrest Fenn Treasure Found update on the lawsuit.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We are going to be live on this channel Monday night, 7 p.m. We have switched the time to the show to 7 p.m. with the author of Vegas Die, Stephen Grogan, upcoming treasure hunt in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's going to be pretty cool. Get your questions ready. Get your super chats ready. We'll make him answer anything you guys ask.
No, Nemo, we're not having another drawing tonight. Let's more soon. We've had family in town. We needed to do this. Mike and I will actually get to actual talking tomorrow and we'll figure out when is the next one. We have other prizes, that sort of thing. So we'll do that next. So anyway.
Okay, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you have a good Sunday. And we will see you Monday at 7 p.m.
See ya.
Bye.